I'm looking forward to the next conversation, how we can reshape university innovation with venture capital. Stellenbosch University, in a first of its kind, established a venture capital fund, and I want to find out from Anita Nel what they did with it. Please welcome on stage the Chief Director for Innovation and Commercialization from Stellenbosch University, Anita Nel.
Yes, thank you very much for the opportunity to talk to you specifically about reshaping university innovation with venture capital. I think 5 years ago it was really a very irrelevant discussion at PURCO or anything about investments, because university investments or university spin-outs has never really been a very a well-known or interesting investment asset class. However, over the past couple of years, this has dramatically changed, and the number of investors that are now interested in university technology and university spin-outs are increasing by the day. And this is very good news for universities. I first want to start with, okay, where do I point this thing to? This clicker is not very clicky. Okay, can I maybe get another clicker? Okay, while I'm waiting for the clicker, commercializing university technology. It's normally something that is done at a loss for the university, but I think with the new things that we do in this regard, the new processes and business models, this can very soon become quite a good and sustainable income stream for a university. How it normally works is researchers come to us with an innovation or an invention, and it doesn't need to be a groundbreaking thing. But then we need to establish whether it is worthwhile to patent it and then commercialize it. How the commercialization is done is basically through two mechanisms. The first is to license that patent to a company or to start a spin-out company. Starting a spin-out company is much more difficult, it is much more resource intensive, and it requires skills that you don't normally find in a university. Yes, we all have legal services, but they don't really deal on a day-to-day basis with shareholders agreements, company documents, etc. They are very much focused on what happens within a university. There's quite a lot of opportunities in South Africa. This is the patent activity since 2009 till the end of last year. I specifically look at PCT applications, as that captures the invention and not patents as such. If I can patent the same invention in 7 countries and claim to have 7 patents, but these are actually capturing the inventions. What you will see here, the public sector is in gold. So actually, innovation in South Africa is driven by the public sector. You can see also University of Cape Town and Stellenbosch are leading the pack here in the Western Cape, which is very good news for us, because that, and you'll later see how that brings investors to this region as well. However, there are incredibly difficult challenges and obstacles in commercializing university technology. And I first want to give the context to you. We need industry to take up the technologies that we develop. And you can see that there's actually quite a wide variety of interactions between the academics and external organizations. And if you look at that, it happens across a wide range of fields. But the commercializing activities is quite relatively very small. There's so much opportunity for universities and companies to partner, because universities normally have a lot of intellectual resources, world-class research infrastructure, laboratories, etc. Companies need that, but they bring practical experience, they bring finances, a lot of opportunities for students as well as our graduates. So why is these partnerships essential for universities? First of all, The time is over that universities can rely on a prince or a church or a government for their research activities. It becomes more and more a business activity. A university, in the face of a university, is changing more and more to become very much like a business. Just look at, for example, at our university, and I know it happens across universities. Number 2 at our university is called the Chief Operating Officer. That's a very industrial company term. That term didn't exist 10 years ago in a university. So we need funding, and that is where industry comes in. We also need to test all these theories and things that we come up with as academics. We need to understand what industry wants to see in the next employment force. So how do we have to structure our academic programs and curriculums, research and innovation to serve the needs of industry? It also helps us to improve our research outputs, and for me, where I sit at the university, we are very reliant on industry to take up the innovations that come from our university. We need to license it to them. Now, for industry, there are equally good reasons to partner with universities. They get access to academics in terms of technology and expertise. It's very good for a company's reputation and image to say that they work with universities. It also helps with skills development inside the company. And then, as you all know, our student corps is a pool of talent that is very sought after by industry. So, there are a few realities that we face in this delicate relationship between universities and industry. The first reality is a very hard one. We are very different. We live in two worlds. Industry looks only at profit. They are very profit-driven, whereas universities are not that much interested in money. In fact, I had to change the vocabulary of our team when we talk to academics. We don't use words like profit. It's like blasphemy to talk in a university about profit. Income, I mean the revenue, these are all words that actually make people very angry. People have literally yelled at me for using those words, accusing me of changing our website from sun.ac.za to soonsun.com. So people in Senate get very uptight. So we need to talk about not profit, but what is it called? Surplus. No, we don't talk about revenue. It is sustainable income. So yeah, we literally had a workshop how to talk about money to university people. Universities don't like risks. Our university is 105 years old. I think Oxford is well over 800 years old. Bologna is the oldest university in Europe. They came about in 10,000, I think, in 48. Why are they still here? Because they don't take risks. How many companies do you know that's 800 years old? Very few. So we don't take risks. We hate risks. Companies take risks every single day. They are interested in quick turnarounds. Time is money. Universities couldn't really care less about time. If a company often goes to a professor and say, please help me, I need research in this area. Yes, fine, I'll put a master's student on it, you'll have your answer in 2 years. Oh no, this is a bit bigger, we'll put a PhD student on this, you'll have your answer in 5 years. Companies can't wait that long. Companies often look at universities for cheap labor, at access to nice labs that they don't need to maintain, but they can use on a pay-as-you-go basis. They want to keep often their secrets close to their heart, whereas at universities our role is to create and disseminate knowledge. We always want to publish. So you can see it is actually we are quite far away from each other. The other reality that we always face is our tech is early stage. Universities don't develop something like that. They may develop something that will make this thing a little bit faster or so, but they hardly come up with a finished product. It's always very early stage. But industry, for some other reason, refer to all the technologies on our shelves. I have yet to find those shelves. This is what they think we have, a nice finished product that they can quickly come in, grab, pay for it, and put into the market. But the reality is this is what we have. And most often, we don't even have this. But sometimes, at least, we have a prototype. But this is also a huge lack in understanding and where we are misaligned in terms of expectations. So the reality was very well summarized by a guy from MIT that says, as a researcher or a professor, all you need to do to prove the research is to make one thing that works. But if you want to commercialize it, you have to make thousands or millions of that. And the practical reality of going from one to millions is incredibly underestimated. There's a lot of funding that is needed to take that technology from the moment the research ends to a commercial product. Our university is a research-based university. They don't pay for the development. So when the research stops, you have a very crude product. And we have to work with that and convince industry to invest money to develop it further and to take it to the market. There's a whole list of additional reasons. Often, research doesn't just happen overnight. A professor worked for 20 years with many, many students throughout the 20 years, and maybe one day at the end of that somewhere, something surfaces that is of interest commercially. And most often, professors do things because they are interested in it, not because they want to solve a problem in industry. They don't want to be seen to work for industry. So often we come up at universities with solutions for problems that we have to convince people actually that they have. Okay, the third reality is the relationship isn't working in terms of taking university technology and bringing it via industry to the market. The absorptive capacity, especially in our country, just does not exist. In the USA, it works well because for many, many years, they have had a strong focus in their national policies on entrepreneurship and technology transfer. They adopted legislation in this regard as far back as 1980, where university technology became a thing in the States. Their model is patenting and licensing. Contrary to popular belief, they are not really that interested in spin-out and startup companies. The system in the US is completely different than ours. Universities may assist a spin-out to be born just so that they have a company or an entity that they can license to. The licensing model is very important for them. Yet, only 16, that is 16% of tech transfer offices in the States are profitable. Now I can imagine with companies like Tesla, IBM, all of them, they're funding universities. There's a huge opportunity for American university to come up with nice patents in technology. So if only 16% of them can actually break even or wash their own face, then you can imagine the dire straits that we are in South Africa. Now, in UK and Europe, interestingly enough, you sit with what they call the European paradox. They seemingly have a great economy, very competitive, very innovative. They have very strong research systems, strong universities, but they also seem to fail at translating the inventions from those universities into marketable products in the market. In South Africa, it's even worse. Our industry is just not mature enough to be interested in taking a young technology, a very underdeveloped technology with huge promise from a university, invest the time and resources to bring it to the market. So we have very little hope to, like the Americans, at least follow the patenting and licensing model with any success. So we had to adjust our focus. We looked around the world at other models, and in the UK, we saw that they were paying a lot of attention to university spin-outs. In the States, as I mentioned, completely different. When a company is born from a university, the university hardly has to do anything because there's such a mature ecosystem for entrepreneurs and startups that they absorb that company. That company gets all the support and funding it needs, mostly outside of the university. So universities don't care much about those companies. Sometimes they take a little bit of equity in it. And in the case of Stanford, they were extremely lucky to have a Google emanating from their university. Okay, so we changed our focus. We said licensing, we are going to continue with it business as usual, but we can ring fence suitable technologies with willing champions in a spin-out company. So put that in a small company close to the lab from where it originated. The professor must actually be able to walk to where his team is now working in a company. And then let's raise funding for that company so that the company can develop the technology and service the international global market from here. And let's try and give them as good as possible a start in life and reduce the risk as far as possible for investors. It sounds great, but raising that fund and providing that support remained a big challenge. We tried for years to raise the University Technology Fund. I once spoke to G.T. Ferrari. He was the founder of FNB. And he got very excited about my plans for a university fund for South Africa. And he said to me, we should have done this long ago. It's absolutely awesome, but there's only one problem with what I propose. What I propose is a get-rich fund. And the people with money in this country are much more interested in stay-rich funds. So I didn't get any help there. Ketso Gordon from the SASME Fund he emerged as a new CEO for the SASME Fund. There was a lot of funding that was just lying there, and he started to spend it and give it to small investors so that they can in turn start investing the money. He came to me and said, I've heard about the plans, let's start the University Technology Fund. And they invested in the fund. And we started basically with UCT and Stellenbosch, but then it opened up to the entire country. So that was actually quite amazing. We were incredibly excited about this. But that's not, you can't just give money to a company. We also created a business incubator and the instant startup, I'll talk about that, and the spin-out concierge to really support these companies, because unlike also the UK and US systems, in this country, the university has to look much, much better and be much better mother to their spin-outs than anywhere else where spin-outs are actually working. So raising that fund was incredible. We raised that fund, it started on the 31st of January, 2020, right before COVID. It was amazing. I was so disappointed. Yet, this tool invested throughout COVID and is about to spend the very last few cents in the fund next month. This fund has invested to date nearly 160 million rand in a variety of university technologies. You can see also the universities benefiting from this. And the good news, I'll talk about it, is the UTF2 is currently being raised and we expect it to open its doors in January. The fund was actually composed of a series of little wallets. The first wallet is the internal pre-seed fund. That is not part of the UTF, but it was grant funding that we received from the SASME Fund to start building the pipeline. And then the UTF had three wallets: the seed fund, the Series Seed, and Series A that invests in a company as they mature through the system. You can see that one of our companies, Immobizyme, has already gone through and benefited from all four of these opportunities in the funding chain. And that is exactly what we want to see, how we give little bits of money in the beginning to push these projects in the pipeline and that they go throughout it and become successful companies. The seed, Series Seed and Series A, you can see in how much investment was spent in each, and also how many projects benefited from those investments, totaling, as I said, about 160 million rand. You can also see the sector. So through this fund, we are bringing new technologies to the market that make people healthier, that make their lives better. By nature, the research at a university is about making the world a better place. And by putting these technologies that we develop as a result of that research into the market where people can actually use it, what we are showcasing is that the research at our universities are relevant. Every time we set up a company, it shouts, this research was relevant. Okay, and you can see these are the global classifications, and we are actually doing quite well as a university sector in producing the right types of technologies. The fund isn't doing too well on BEE ownership, but it is something that we are definitely aimed at improving. You can also see the university ownership. These are in the different companies, as well as women-owned. I'm incredibly disappointed in women-owned, but what we do see is that the pipeline that comes through is really delivering more and more females. So the companies that we are going to set up soon will have much more representation by women. The reason is, for the increase, is we have created a few really great role models, and that is all. You want to create role models and stories to inspire others to do the same. We have one female inventor who is now starting her third company with us. Where we do very well, and I think for obvious reasons, is youth employment. It is really fantastic to see how people under the age of 35 step out of university and become a CEO. It is a nightmare for us because we have to do a Cinderella story every time we change a student into a CEO, but that is the type of support that universities should offer to their new spin-outs. And you can see we do also much better on female employment than on female ownership yet. But these are all things that we monitor constantly. What makes me excited, in the 4 years that this fund, well, from 2020 to 2024, we have already, with the funding, created 111 new jobs. And this increases every month. And this is testament to why we actually should do this. When you set up a company, that company does employment, that company has a turnover in terms of stimulating the economy. When you license a technology, it is often to a company abroad. The value of our technologies are then is created offshore, and we get a small income on this side. It is not really, it's not exciting. But what we do here in terms of companies can have much bigger impact and be much more exciting. To support these companies, we gave them funding, but to ensure that we don't waste that funding and leave the company without other support, we established an incubator, and you can see it works through another pipeline of inspiration and ideation. I have an idea, then I need to validate it, I need to create the company, and then make sure that company grows in the market. So we do a lot of work on the inspiration and ideation phase. And then we have very targeted programs that we take a company through as they mature through the system. We also created a tool, the Instant Startup, to help the entrepreneurs, because we don't have enough people in our office to do the work. So we had to automate a few things, and we actively created a network to link those companies to other companies. We link township entrepreneurs to CEOs in listed companies, NGOs, local government, academics, students, all of them in a mix. So the network It's basically one person organizing it, but it is one of the most successful things in terms of gluing all of this together. The incubation, we also look at, apart from the programs, we do precision incubation. We give services and mentors and help entrepreneurs with problems that they have now. Then the instant startup. When you start a company, there's a few basic things that you need to do, regardless of whether you want to start a fish and chips shop or a Microsoft. You have to move from, I have an idea, but can this become a business, a feasible business? That's the first thing you need to know. Now, as part of that, you need to understand who your customers are. What is the business model? Are you going to sell this per item? Will it be a service that you charge a fee for? What will be your business model? What is your strengths, weaknesses, the whole SWOT analysis? You need a lean business model canvas. And it's the same process. But if we sit with every of our entrepreneurs, it takes a huge amount of human resources to guide them through the system. So we created an online platform. And if you remember, Microsoft used to have, and maybe I give my age away now, but it had this irritating little paper clip that would pop up and irritate you to tears. Now we created that in terms of a little brain that also helps and talks to the entrepreneurs. So they work throughout this program. You can see at the top there the different stages. They work bit by bit, step by step through this. We can see in the background what they are doing. We are alerted when they get stuck, and then we have humans who actually step in and help them. But there's a lot of resources, so for every single step in this way, we give them resources. We even introduced a reward system, because with Gen Z, they want a reward for doing everything. Just for clicking on something, they need a reward. Okay, so that is a nice product that really helped us to expand capacity. And then we introduced the Spin-Out Concierge. On behalf of our 32 companies, we can negotiate much better than a single startup company can negotiate. So we can negotiate discounts from all sorts of web developers, website designers, payroll services, booking, a whole plethora of services. We try to help the researchers or the entrepreneurs to focus on taking the product to market, while we take care of a lot of the admin, of registering domain names, helping them to open a bank account, insurance, ensures that there's a basic website and logo. We help them with financial software and training, a plethora of things. So one of our staff sits on the companies, on 13 companies as a company secretary, so that there is good governance. Good governance is incredibly important for us. It's not something that you can retrofit later in the company's life. We try to install it in the minds of the CEOs, but without them having to spend too much time on that. So when an investor steps in, what they see is a history of well-documented agendas and minutes for board meetings. Everything is in place. That also reduces the risk, and it enhances your company's chances to get funding. Okay, what was the impact of all of this? This article appeared in the Business Day on the 29th of July. We didn't prompt it. We were as surprised to see this. But this talks about university spin-outs. For the first time, Business Day starts writing about university technologies without us begging them to do so. They start seeing that universities are actually coming up with very investable assets in these spin-out companies. Until 2013, the preferred address, if you were a company that needed funding, was up in Joburg, in Gauteng. Since 2013, it shifted down to the Western Cape, because we started doing some activities around entrepreneurship here and stimulating that, including, but not only limited to, university spin-outs. This is our university spin-out timeline from 1998. You can see it started off fast because there was a lot of projects in the beginning phases, but then it slowed down. But once we opened the incubator on our campus, you can see what happened. And you can also see that blue arrow when the UTF, the University Technology Fund, kicked in and started investing in companies. These are some of the companies, a wide plethora. It's really across a large number of sectors, and most of them are exciting and really making the world a better place. This is the staff since 2013 on the left-hand side in our companies. We counted yesterday, and to date we have more than 400 people employed by our companies. Now, for a university, that is important because the impact of 400 staff members may seem little in comparison with large companies. But those 400 people support probably up to 5 to 12 other people. So there are 5 to 12 other people per individual in the 400 who may benefit from the employment in our companies. Last year, our companies had a combined turnover of 422 million. That stimulates the local economy. But that 422 was 22% up from the previous year's figure, and that figure was in turn 22% up from the year before that. So this is, for me, a very exciting thing that is happening in our sector, our university sector. It's a brand new thing, and as you can see, the dividend income was dwindling in the beginning, but if you correct for the 2021 and 2020, the COVID years, you can see what is happening there. Our dividend income so far this year exceeds the 2022. The only reason why 2023 was lower, because one of the companies that contributed quite well in 2022 received a large investment from the UTF and 2 other investors, and it was conditional that they do not declare dividends. But this is the dividends that we actually receive. With that, I can actually now start to rely on this income to employ more people in our team to enhance this even further. For the first time in the past 2 years, our dividend income has by far exceeded the royalty income we get from the patenting licensing model. And this is something that all universities can do. We sit on our campuses with the creme de la creme of the intellectual resources in this country. We have young, bright students. They don't even need to start university or university spin-outs. We can help them to start their little spin-outs on our campus. And those spin-outs or those small startups will become the leading companies in a few years. They will employ a lot of people. Those students, if you look at what happens in the States, they are very happy with the university allowing them to do so, and they start pumping money back into the university. So I think it is something that we should do. The majority of people, more than half the people on this continent, is younger than 20 years old. We need to become engines for innovation, engines for entrepreneurship on our campuses. And I think we can only benefit from doing that. These are our group of companies with the university shareholding in each. So you can also see we indicate from which faculties they come. We also link everything we do to the sustainable development goals. And we track where our companies make a difference in this, because impact is for us much more important than income. Now, the good news is, or the bad news is, UTF-1 has run out of steam. It's depleted now. But we are raising UTF-2, which will build on the success and foundation that we established with the first fund. UTF-2 will also invest in the alumni of universities. So if one of your university's alumni goes out, works for a bit, and then decides to start a company, they can also receive funding through this fund, and the university will then benefit from the success of that company. So they've expanded the mandate, but they will also invest a little bit later. And this one is much more of a commercial fund. The key differentiators is, well, so far we have a commitment of 222 million for this fund. It is independently run from any university, but several universities has already committed funding into this fund. I think it's changing the entire ecosystem. It is changing the face of university technologies. It's a huge opportunity for us. The UTF was the first fund on this continent that was solely investing in university technology. You can see some of the good stats here, and it has proven, as I said, that university technology is an investable asset class. This is, for me, something that I think we can all be very proud of. What you see here is the nationalities of funds that did equity deals in university spin-outs globally. It excludes the UK. You can see the US. We can't compete with them. But if South African data, and this is from 2014 to 2024, a 10-year span, the UTF only started in 2020 and was now active until 2024. If we included South African data, we would have been where we lie, about number 8 in the world in terms of investments in university spin-outs. That is something so forward-looking. It is something so promising for the sector that we are in. And as I say, all of the universities in this country can do this. So thank you very much. If you have any questions, happy to answer them.
A round of applause, please, for Anita now. And then show of hands for questions. The one I have, Anita, what do you think, I suppose, encourages a university to get into the space and adopt this approach compared to others? Stellenbosch University is doing well, UCT is doing well, and then you've got other universities that are not necessarily, well, in terms of volume, number of companies, dividend income, and all of that. What differentiates you?
I think we want to make an impact much broader than being just a university with good research and good teaching and learning. In this country, I think it is absolutely wrong to think, let's target university rankings. Because if you walk on a campus, the people you see there, those are the people where our focus should be. We should change them in little generators of companies. For example, my problem is always at the university, we teach our students how to earn salaries and be good employees, become employed. We never teach them how to pay salaries and become an employer. And this is the opportunity we have. This is the impact we can make by changing that mindset of our students while they're still on our campus.
And what's the goal for UTF2? I think you said there's 222 million rand already.
Yes.
What's your target?
They aim for about 400 million, but the first close is now done, so they will kick off while raising more on the side. But at least they won't wait for the entire 400 million. They will kick off so long.
Stunning. Thank you very much. Were you indicating for somebody to come to you, or were you asking a question? There's a question at the back there. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you very much for an excellent presentation and sharing great information for the audience. And I think I know Stellenbosch and UCT have done fantastic. And I'm from the UFS, Deputy Vice Chancellor there. And of course, we've tried many of this. We have a clinical trials company. It's a ISO 1589 accredited one of the few in the country. And of course, we've had challenges in that. And we, of course, we have the WADA accredited where we do doping tests. So it's a world and of course, recently, you might know that they had to suspend it, of course, because of the investment we lack in that. One of the challenges, and Stellenbosch and UCT has a great alumni, and I think they contribute fantastically, and many of the institutions don't have the luxury of that. So when we change our language policy from Afrikaans to English, you find all the old guys pulled out, and you sort of dumped in a way. But one of the challenges we have is when there's crisis, it falls back on the university to carry it. Like COVID was a typical example. I mean, you have a doping lab that doesn't generate anything, and you have the one in Qatar established, much cheaper and government subsidized, etc. And my question to you is, how did you manage it? How do you recommend we manage it in future? Of course, as I close, one recommendation I want to make. If Stellenbosch and say UCT can start a sectoral sort of engagement on this, because it will help us to manage it better. We just introduced an incubator. We have some of our own ideas. But if it becomes a sectoral conversation, and we help the sector that it doesn't become only for your university, that will help us as well. And I'm sure with the smaller universities actually face the same challenge, we can learn from you as well. So maybe create a blog or a group. Maybe PURCO can sort of organize this. This will help us as a sector. Thank you very much, Africa.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, the university management has always looked at what we do as sort of playing in the sand, but it's beautiful. There are a few nice stories born, but they never took us seriously. It was sort of quite nice to have a tech transfer office. Beautiful things happened. But I think our team, we had a small team, and we were incredibly passionate about bringing technologies to the market, to actually show the world what universities can do. So we started doing this, and as we started doing this, the university actually started sitting up and take note of this and saw, but wow, this is actually leading to something. So entrepreneurship is still largely an unfunded mandate on our campus, hence the fact that we had to raise this UTF fund for the sector. But yeah, I would love for other universities to join us and make it a sectoral thing. I gave a similar presentation to the DG and asked him for money for every university for a business incubator, where we not only can spin out university technologies, but where we can service student entrepreneurs. I think the work that the EDHE, the Entrepreneurship Development in Higher Education, is doing is absolutely fantastic to help student entrepreneurs come to the front and put their hand up and giving them a stage to talk on. So we see that the number of students participating in this on our campus increasing every year. So yeah, I think if we come together and we actually take a stance, eventually government will have to listen if they see the results that we are producing as a sector.
Thank you for that, Anita. Here's a question at the second table there.
Thank you very much. Mine is picked from the slide on UTF demographics. To a certain degree, it may be related to the question asked by my brother at the back. I see quite a number of universities, but the so-called former Bush universities do not appear in terms of the stats. I wanted to check what could have been the hold up with regards to participation. That's one. But secondly, I do see UWC with no opportunity that has been provided for them out of 111. Just the number of the universities, the background they're coming from in terms of demographics, what can you suggest would be the strategy to rope in as many universities and other institutions? By the way, I'm coming from the TVET sector, but I feel salivated by what is being presented here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, the UTF is open for any university. I think there are two things how we can improve participation. I think creating something and creating some momentum will inspire all universities to actually start thinking about this. But also, the other question, the answer to that remains the same. If we as a sector start pleading for money just for the basic infrastructure on our campuses to provide a basic incubation service for our students and researchpreneurs, that is where we can kickstart things. You have seen what happened on our campus when we had a physical incubator, a space with good coffee, nice decor, cheap as it was, but also a place where they can come to and see how other researchers are actually starting companies, other students are starting companies, because that's what makes them believe that they can do it as well.
Michelle, it sounds like there's appetite certainly in the sector in delving deeper into this conversation. So can I leave it with PURCO to organize, even if it's an online setting, a little bit of work around this so that all universities then can stand to gain.
Thank you.
Did you want to say something?
No, that's fine.
Oh, stunning. Thank you very much. A round of applause, please, for Anita Nel, Chief Director for Innovation and Commercialization at Stellenbosch University.